Hello, welcome to Race Committee 101, a series of informal but informative videos to prepare you for your Lake Norman Yacht Club Race Committee duty. In this first video, Mark Boat Basics, we'll be focusing on the marks used to define the course. Successful positioning and anchoring of marks in a timely fashion, often under pressure, is the difference between a good regatta and a great regatta. This is especially true with the shifty winds of Lake Norman. A PRO with confidence in the mark boat crews can make the course changes that ensure optimum competition for the fleet. Let's head over to the Race Management Center and see what Bill and Ken are up to. Mr. Gorney, you're on.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ken Gorney, Bill Ross. We're a couple of the experienced principal race officers here at Lake Norman, and we want to give you a basic lesson on how to help out on race committee, primarily setting marks. Bill, how long you been doing race management here on the lake?
Well, I started out approximately 1976 or 7, so I would think close to 40 years.
Over 40 years. I've been doing it probably 25 years plus. We're both U.S. sailing certified, and we do a lot of the high-level events here. Actually, pay attention to Bill. Bill brought the St. Petersburg Trophy, which is the trophy for the best race management in the country. He brought it at the club in 1999 for doing the Thistle Nationals. Yeah, congratulations. That was well deserved.
Well, he was the Commodore.
You know, we use the 4-foot tetrahedrons as our mark. Looks great, doesn't it? What's going to happen when we put it out in the sun? It's going to swell up. It's going to blow the seams, and we're going to have to replace the mark with a new one. So, as you're putting these and as you're doing it, when you're out on the water, a couple things to pay attention to is that that's overinflated. You want the air out of it so that all 3 feet are sitting in the water. That keeps it from bouncing around, so that somebody sailing into the mark gets hit. The mark gets hit with a wave. It drifts into the boat. Unhappy sailor, big out of no action of their own.
Okay.
Even on a warm, sunny day, even though we've taken some air out, it's a good idea to keep your eye on the marks during the racing, because as the sun works on these marks, it tends to swell up, and you may have to take additional air out in order to keep it from bursting a seam.
Right. Now, let's assume we have the mark properly inflated, and we're on station and preparing to deploy the mark. Let's go ahead and talk about the anchors and the line, the anchor line. Show us how we do that, Ken.
Go ahead, Ken.
Okay. Bill, you want to hand me up? Let's talk about the anchor line. Everything's on spools, but what you want to pay attention to, not starting out, well, you maybe starting out, but more importantly when you're retrieving, see how the shackles are hooked onto both lines. That way, if one shackle comes untied,
the other one is
the other one's still holding it together.
Okay.
So we don't want to leave any more shackles or anchor line or anchors on the bottom of the lake than we've done already.
20-foot sections.
They are generally, they're supposed to be in 20-foot sections. So just have an idea of how much line you're putting out relative to scope. So let me hook the anchor line up to the anchor. Make a loop with the line, run it through the top of the anchor, and clip it on. It is ready to go overboard and into the water. And as you drop it into the water, then you're spooling it out as it goes. When it hits the bottom, you'll know. And then you go to the next, pretty much go to the next cleat. Uncleat it off the, undo the shackles off the spool. And then we hook it on to the mark.
And it's important how you hook it to the mark.
So what we want to end up is with the, when the mark is in the water, that this end is pointing upwind. So I don't want to get too close, so I'm bringing it one back, running the line through there, and then again clipping it on itself, and the mark is ready to go in the water. We've already got the anchor down. Put it over the side of the boat. It should sit fine in the water.
Now, on a windy day with a lot of wave action, you may have the problem with the anchor lifting off the bottom or dragging along the bottom. The mark is drifting.
Let me demonstrate what happens. Is that if there's a lot of a good breeze and there's a fair amount of wave action, then as the line tightens up, it lifts the anchor off the bottom and the wind pushes it down. So what ends up happening is that the mark ends up drifting, it's walking down the lake. So how do you prevent that? What's the best way to do it? It's really easy to add a second line, a second anchor, but you don't add it with the first one because it will do the same thing. So I come about 6-8 feet back, do a loop in the line, again, put it through the top of the anchor, and loop it on the anchor. So now, when I set this down, and this comes down behind it, this one's coming up and down, but that one's holding it in place, so the mark doesn't walk.
Excellent. So, the mark is in the water, the boats have rounded, the race is over. Is there anything special about putting all of this away? Or let's say if you have to do a mark change, how important is it that you get that anchor line reeled back on the spool as quickly as possible? It's important that that's not down in the bottom of the boat.
Every time you bring anchor line back into the boat, you're putting it back on the spool so that it is ready. So you put the mark into the boat, pull up anchor line. I get all the anchor line into the race committee boat. Disconnect the second anchor. Disconnect the first anchor, maybe not. Depends on what. If I'm at the end of the day, I'll disconnect the anchor. Disconnect it from the mark. And to save us from putting more anchor line in, no, Bill, that's not how it goes. No.
I was going to do that.
One on one, one on the other.
I'm the winder.
I just reel it in. Keep a little tension on it because it'll reel faster.
And make sure it doesn't get off the sides.
Right. We don't want a backlash.
And then when you're done, just hook it up on the top.
Yep. And you're ready to go.
You're ready to go. Ready to set the next mark. The person coming in the day after you's ready, or the following weekend is ready to set the mark.
Excellent. All right, guys. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you,
That's Race Committee 101, how to handle the marks, and particularly how to anchor them and make sure that they stay where the PRO wants them.